Admiral's Log. With the recent disposal of a sizable German fleet, our superiority in the Asian theater has been solidified, leaving no doubt as to the unmatched strength of the Chinese Navy. Yet, as the waters of the Pacific calm and the echoes of victory fade, a new ambition stirs within me, a vision of conquest that surpasses any in history. For too long, the mainland United States has stood as an untouchable fortress, its shores protected by vast oceans and formidable defenses. But I am not one to be deterred by the impossible, for where others see barriers, I see opportunities. And so, I have set my sights on a new objective, one that defies convention and challenges the very notion of power in the modern world. I have set my sights on mainland US, a daring gambit that, if successful, will rewrite the course of history and establish China as the undisputed master of the Pacific. The task ahead is daunting, the obstacles numerous and formidable. From the vast distances that separate us from our target to the formidable might of the American military, every step of this journey will be fraught with peril. But I am undeterred, for I know that with careful planning and unwavering determination, we can achieve the impossible.
Hey guys, Stealth here, and welcome to episode 12 of the Chinese campaign. It took me, I don't know, sinking 100 plus American warships, but we're finally here. There's peace between the Chinese and the US. This has come probably at a massive cost. Look at that. 2.7 billion is up for grabs. Holy shit, I'm gonna have to draw up the, the Google Maps to figure out where half of these places are. But they are willing to play ball on quite a few of these colonies. I'm going to at least take East Philippines. I know where that is. Guam? Yeah. Yeah, why not? Like, it's over here, if I'm not mistaken. So with that, I basically secure that whole foothold. Western Philippines, well, you know, it's not under my control as of right now. But there is another war with the US potentially afoot. There we go. Thank you for your generous donation of the Eastern Philippines. Indonesia is now currently arming up. That's fine. It is actually very nice having a local ally in the form of Indonesia, because Indonesia has been buying quite a few of my ships. So my shipyards are hard at work building up a whole bunch of ships for Indonesia. They've ordered a couple of heavy cruisers. They want some light cruisers to escort those. And now they've made the wise decision to also get some destroyers to go with that fleet. I'm not so sure exactly what they're planning on fighting. They are aligned with my faction, so in that sense, they should be on my side. Right? Exactly how much firepower they're going to have, I'm not so sure. I would be very curious to see if they're at some point going to try and liberate some more of their territory by taking over Sulawesi, for example. But I don't know. Who's the Dutch faction allied to? The Italians. Okay, fine. I'm still at war with Austro-Hungary. Wait, you want me to do a naval invasion? Sumatra is yours? Really? And I happen to be fairly close with these three fleets. So I guess I can use that to wrap up this war. I don't really understand exactly how they were able to get Sumatra. I suspect they got some fleet here. Well, there's a bit. Surely there's more. It took 6... it took 6 heavies, 11 lights, and 5 DDs. Interesting. Now, of course, we're going to do that, because I am also interested in wrapping up this war. I want to try and go to peace for at least a little bit of time. So, even as these ships have been out to sea fighting the US for a long time, especially these guys, like, Gostwit's fleet constantly got attacked. Non-stop. There used to be a DD there. I think it was the Mruthum. It unfortunately died. But they just kept sending ship after ship after ship. Usually they spawned 5 ships. Like 3 DDs, 2 light cruisers, something to that effect. Every month over in the West Philippines as I was invading that. So for the last couple of months I've had to be fighting these guys off. Thankfully that has stopped. As for the rest of the world, or lastly of the rest of the US fleet, they started out with a pretty sizable fleet. They now have 16 ships. 4 heavies, 3 lights, and 9 DDs. Yeah, that's cute. Their tonnage is 96,000. Sure enough, they're building more, but my naval tonnage is about... about 8 times? No, well, not quite that. About 6 times that of the US. My economy is still growing despite being at war, and the US cannot say the same. They are shrinking quickly. 6% per year. Now, seeing as this war was going on forever and ever and ever, I decided I have made it my new objective to invade the US. Because why not? I have never invaded the US. It is going to take a lot of work, because this is not a small army that I would need to defeat. And of course, seeing as they don't have a whole lot of overseas territories anymore, their army logistics is 100%, whereas mine is 42%. I will definitely need a lot more firepower. I will need more ships. I'm going to need bigger ships at that. So to that effect, I have upgraded my shipyards to 301,000 tons, and I will of course never actually be able to build a ship worth 301,000 tons, but this is going to allow me to build multiple ships at the same time. As for research, I am working on big guns, and these have gotten a priority, so I now have almost access to the Mark II 18-inch guns. As for the Mark IIIs, we're still stuck on 13-inch, unfortunately. I'm not sure if we're going to get 19 Mark II and then 20 Mark II, and then it's going to jump back to 14 Mark III, because I would like to prio the 14-inchers and the 15-inchers. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see what comes out of the hat. Now, the US does seem to have a little bit of a revolution problem over here. And I'm interested in seeing if the Western Philippines are actually going to be able to rebel against their US force holding it. Oh, it's been completed. I have sent, or rather the army has sent a little expeditionary force from Liaodong over into Northwest Korea. Northwest Korea was defended by about 95,000 men. And so the army saw it fit to send 10 million men over and take Northwest Korea. So pretty much everything here is now mine. Yes, Japan is still this little power. They have 1 battleship and 3 DDs. They don't actually have a war at the moment. They're allied to the Italians, insofar as that's valuable. They got 21 ships. They do have 10 battleships, but how valuable those are, I don't know. My economy, I'm happy to say, is doing quite well. I have exceeded the Spanish. I have well exceeded the Japanese. The rest of them, I've exceeded Russia as well. And they are shrinking pretty quickly. They are still at war with the Italians, so I'm happy to let these two have at it and try and destroy each other. The French, currently still at war with the US and with Austro-Hungary. The Germans, peacefully moving along, and their economy is booming. They have overtaken the Brits. That's quite the achievement. So let's have a look. They haven't actually taken any territory. They have just been growing their economy like absolutely crazy. That is interesting. If the German faction is at some point going to go to war, they will have a lot of firepower. Especially economics. Their fleet is 79 ships. Most of those is destroyers, though. The French, which I'm kind of expecting them to go to war with. Well, I mean, it's not that likely, not yet. They will put up a fight with their 14 battleships, but if the Germans play their hand well and use 37 DDs, well, I've seen what a 24-inch torpedo can do to a battleship, and it leaves a mark, shall we say. Now, let's do a little invasion of Sumatra and see if the Austro-Hungarian Navy is interested at all in doing some defense. As it turns out, the Austro-Hungarians don't want to be invaded. Well, that is unfortunate, because it's going to happen anyway. The Vorarlberg and the rest of their fleet is not really going to stand in my way for very long. Sure enough, it is a sizable fleet, but they're only packing 6-inch guns and a couple of underwater torpedo launchers. They're slow at 20 knots, and the Gosrith is armed with a couple of those 8-inch guns, 13-inch guns, and 28 3.9s. So I am eager to turn the entire Austro-Hungarian navy into scrap, and then start taking their territory. Now, I'm gonna make this as easy as possible for myself, because it is probably gonna be a fairly straight up slaughter with these ships. Everybody gets to join one division. We're going to let these guys auto-select their ammo and hammer away. I'm a bit sad that this is what the game has kind of turned into. This, just clobber the old ships, but if the AI refuses or finds itself unable to actually use more modern ships, well, that's what's going to happen. I cannot do magic and suddenly give the AI good ships. They're going to have shit ships. My ships, by contrast, are very good. Some of them have a bit of a peculiar design, to be sure. But that doesn't stop them from being extremely good at what they need to do. Such as the Gosrith over here, armed with its 13-inch guns. These are Mark IIIs, because, as I mentioned, I don't know if they're Mark IV yet, as much as I would like it. A veteran crew that has definitely seen a lot of combat over the last couple of months is eager to show the next combatant, which, as it turns out, is the Austro-Hungarians, how they are wrong in the error, or, well, let's say to show them the error of their ways. Everybody can fire auto except you. You can fire AP ammunition. Let's see, what do we have? This is their heavy. Come on. That's something that my kids use in the tub. But, no. What you got there? More trash. Are you DDs at least? Is that enough funnels for you? You compensated for something or what? What are... Where are you going? In such a hurry. Or do you get more smoke like this? Like, this is improving your vaping capability. Come on. Make an effort. See, there it is. That's a 13-inch right through the deck. Surprisingly, that DD took it like a champ. And did not actually die. That really does surprise me. Is that a torpedo? Yeah, it's an outbound. Okay. Gentlemen, only launch torps when you have a pretty decent chance to hit. Yeah, that's another reason why I am using the, let's say, singular line formation. I have had too many times that my ships accidentally, or not so accidentally, maybe because they hate each other, start torping each other. And if you just have everybody in a line, well, it can still happen. It's just less likely to happen. There goes one. Is that your heavy? No, it's a DD. 1914. Like, it's 8 million. It has 25 knot speed. What sort of engine efficiency do you have? You got a steam multiple expansion engine? You don't even have a turbine yet? What the hell? Is this their old trash? In a roleplay sense, maybe you can make the argument that they're trying to protect their colonies with their older ships. I don't know. That's the story. Ooh, that hurt. That's the story I can come up with. The torpedo range is only 4.9. They're spending 20-inch torpedoes when they do. A Hooded Horse, by contrast, has the 24-inch all-singing, all-dancing torpedo that absolutely wrecks anything that it comes into contact with. Providing it's not a dud. That happens at times, unfortunately. Also, since most of these are packing some sort of a hydrophone, most likely. Yeah, they got a hydrophone. They will see torpedoes the moment that I launch them, especially as these 24 inches are just standard propulsion. But they're reasonably quick. Maybe I can accidentally land a hit. I think the Zenta is about to be aware of the threat. Yeah, she's aware. She's turning. Meteor. Taking some damage, but look at this. 254k done versus 900. Like, make an effort. Don't send me all your trash ships, because they will not come home. This cruiser costs them 40 million. Mine is actually almost twice that price. But at least mine has armor, mine has speed, mine has modern technology, and mine tends to come home. Which is not something that these ships tend to do. How much armor they have? 2.9 inches essentially everywhere. Is that something I can pen? No, not with this HE shell. I need to adjust the HE shells in these ships. Switch to AP now. Because HE, yeah, it hurts, but AP can hurt a lot more. Like there, 13 points, see? No, that was the 8-inch gun, I think. My light cruiser is taking a bit more fire than I'd like. So let's rush this thing out of the area of danger. If at all possible, torpedo something. Chance of you getting away with it is limited. But we have them. Might as well throw them at the enemy. There we go. Pen. The hooded horse is running off. Flash fire. There goes the Pola. This is exactly what I wanted this campaign not to turn into. This just clubbing the enemy, because I thought we were past that. Especially with the Russian campaign, we were definitely past that. And I was hoping that that pattern was going to continue. But as it turns out, well, not really. If you as a player just manage to have a relatively modern navy, and I'm not that far ahead. I am just, according to the game, average technology. If you just have that, then like that plus apparently the Austro-Hungarian inability to modernize their ships, it just turns into this slaughter. Which doesn't make the game particularly enjoyable. I want to just have something that really pushes back. And right now, they're not. Look at that. Another 20k damage. She's flooding. She's dead. Okay, so that's a complete victory. I did take some damage on the hooded horse, but it's mostly flooding. So, break out the pumps, dry that ship out, and we're done. 21k. Good talk. Speaking of talking, of course they now want to have a peace treaty. I, however, do not, because I'm a little busy invading their territory. Now, I am hoping... Yeah, there we go, there's Sumatra. I hope that I have my fleets in the right position. What? No. I'm not interested in doing a whole lot of territorial expansion. Okay, we need a lot of fleet there. A lot of capacity. Time to break out the battleships and send them over there. I don't believe I have a whole lot of other battleships currently not doing anything. This is all the DDs. Yeah, I got one battleship over there. And a battle cruiser. So we can send those out from Tsingtao. Send you over there. And where was the other ship? I have gained a couple of ports. I think it was here. Yeah. Send it out. Let's go. Alright, so let's get this invasion over with. And then ideally just go to peace with the Austro-Hungarians. Apparently Canada has been watching the situation develop and is not too enthused with the whole way that Austria-Hungary is getting its head done in. So they've decided to cancel their alliance. And I now have control over Sumatra. So thank you very kindly. The Antilles have also defeated the Dutch and now are in control. The Philippines, aha. The Philippines are now in full control of the Western Philippines. Isn't that nice? This would be a very lovely place to visit next. Because the Western Philippines is actually quite rich. 2.8 billion in economy. They have oil. I'm not the United States, but I think they need a visit. They need more China in their life. We're here to deliver. Now, going to, let's say, war with a neutral faction, I'm not so sure how it works. I know you can do it. I just don't exactly know how to go about doing it. Because sometimes you get these pop-ups saying, hey, this power over here, this minor nation, is plotting to overthrow you or to do some sort of activity that the government doesn't like. At which point, you can then decide if you want to spend some forces to invade them. Like I had with one of those territories that the game just popped up with. I ignored that because I'm not looking for that particular expansion, but I'm hoping that I can also get that for the West Philippines. A couple months of insisting that peace is much better of an option. Later, we have signed a peace. Unfortunately, it seems that I really didn't get a whole lot out of that because, well, I only invaded one territory, got some victory points by getting some kills, and that was about it. So, Albania, Serbia, and the Central Balkans are safe from me. And I much prefer it that way, because I really do not want any territory in Europe. I am not interested in meddling in those affairs, especially not if I am at some point going to be fighting the Americans in their own territory. Now, of course, going to peace has its advantages. Your economy tends to stabilize, and I expect that this growth is going to continue. As for my naval budget, well, I'm minus 161 million, so there is that. Most of my fleet is now back at base. They're getting refit, making sure that everything is back up to modern standards. And I still have a couple of ships that I am building for the Indonesians. I'm not actually building any ships for my own navy, because at the moment I feel like I have a decent mix. And especially with the current modernizations, that should be good enough. Like, we got 8 battleships, 4 battle cruisers, 16 heavy cruisers, 9 lights, and 20 DDs. Maybe some more lights, maybe 2 or 3 more battle cruisers, but as I build those, I'm also going to have to try and keep them afloat. And that costs money. So, let's first up set all of these ships to limited, because that tends to be the cheapest option. Crew training is severely penalized. Well, that's fine. I'm not exactly likely to go into any new war situation anytime soon. That'll save me quite a bit of money. I can also reduce the crew training at large because I find that crew training tends to just come back really quickly. Especially with a couple of victories under your belt, you can actually get quite a lot of work done. Now, I have made 1921 refits. Most of these ships are already done with their refits. A couple DDs still need to get refit. I think the other flight of the DDs as well. That's the older Kidong light cruiser. I'm keeping these guys around because I don't really have a better light cruiser beyond the Heizhou class, which is basically that 6-inch gun light cruiser / heavy destroyer. I don't really feel like I need anything bigger or better. And the same can be said for the battleships. I'm very much prioritizing big guns research still. And I'm already getting 20-inch Mark II. So we're making progress in that department very nicely. It is going to take me a while, but I suspect that after this is done, we're going to go back to Mark IIIs. So the Mark 14, or the 14 Mark IIIs are actually coming into view. Now, considering our grand plan to invade the United States, the puppet master, the one that was in control of Japan, at least for the story that I'm going with, I'm probably going to need a lot of ships. I'm going to need a lot of ships, because invading one of their territories is going to be a little difficult. As for where to strike, like ideally one with the fewer army force units. We got 527 there, we got 559 there. Invading the eastern US would be interesting, although it would probably be pretty impossible to get there. Supply lines are impossible at that point. So I think I might have to do... Oh. Right, I got the Marshall Islands. Okay, that means I now have a power projection in the South Pacific. A little. So yeah, I guess I can hunt American ships there as well. It also means I might have a stepping stone to eventually take Pearl Harbor. We're going to have to essentially do a reverse island hopping campaign as opposed to what the US did. and take Pearl Harbor and then use that as a stepping stone for Western USA, which has an army force of 559,000. Now, I've invaded a couple of places over in Asia, and that took me a substantial unit, like a substantial tonnage. I'm probably going to have to double my fleet, right? This fleet, 554,000 tons. Is it the biggest in the world? No, France has more, the Germans have more, and the Brits have more. I'm going to have to increase fleet size. So maybe... yeah, let's start building a new battleship. It's going to have relatively smaller guns for the time being, but let's see. Would it be more economical to build 2 smaller ships or one enormous one? Because if I'm going to go for tonnage, I need something relatively cheap. So let's say I want to do 40,000 tons. Just to make it fairly easy for the math. It is going to be a capable warship. It is going to have to potentially fight other targets. So I'm just going to throw this thing together quickly and see what I can come up with. Let's go with... yeah, it doesn't need to be quick because speed costs money in this game. Like you wouldn't believe. So 20 knots is fine for the time being. Standard quarters. Let's give it better armor, better engines. Don't use turbo electric if you want to make something cheap, because turbo electric just blossoms the price from 199 to 266. So we're not doing that. Reinforced bulkheads, double bulkheads, some anti-torpedo blisters, auxiliary. Don't particularly care for that. Citadel, yes please, anti-flood, all of it. Rangefinder, stereo 4, and radio advanced. Okay. Guns-wise, a 13-inch Mark III. Let's say I want to have those on a barbette. I'm not sure if a medium superimposed will actually fit that. Will it? Yeah, it will. Okay, cool. That'll fit. Well, that might fit. But I don't want it to because I cannot afford to displace that much. This is going to cost me a lot. This is a really expensive ship. 2 powder... standard ratio, give me barbettes, cap ballistic shells, capped HE shells. Like, we'll pretend we're going to throw in a couple of casemates, 2 there, 2 on the back. Ship's overweight. Armor belt's a bit heavy. 15-inch armor belt. Give me 5 and 5 and 2 and 15. Give me a single hull bottom then, and an anti-torp one. Okay, so we're basically paying $387,000 for this thing. This is kind of what I'm getting at. If I have something like a cruiser, like the Gillen class, this displaces 13,000 tons, but I can have 3 of these, which essentially also displace 40,000 tons, even more so, and they cost me 96 million per. So that's, let's say, 300 million total. This thing is going to have, let's say, 13.2 million a month maintenance. This thing, 16 million. So potentially, it's going to be more beneficial to go with a couple of big heavy cruisers. And I'm not talking battleships or battle cruisers. This one was 13.5. Maybe I just need to research a better cruiser hull, like a better heavy cruiser hull, and with that be able to build some, I'd say, relatively cheap ships. Ideally, that is. Now, I have been apparently shaken down by the Italians, and I said, nope, you're not getting my money. I'm not interested in trying to bribe you into going to peace. Fine, they exclaimed, and went to war. So now I'm fighting the Italians. I think this is going to be largely just a Cold War, because what does Italy have? Where is any Italian territory in Asia? What I think is going to happen is they will send a fleet, I will kick them in the teeth, and then we'll have a peace treaty. So this, well, interestingly, this helps me a lot. Oh, this looks pretty bad for Ethiopia. It helps me a lot. Because what I can do now is use 247 million surplus a month to try and just get a whole bunch of ships built. Now, research is getting prioritized for heavy cruisers, and we're making progress on the Advanced Battlecruiser 5. It's not something I need, but I need a better cruiser hull. The big guns are coming up with the 20-inch 2. Yeah, still no change there. And, well, I guess we'll have to reactivate the fleet. I'm not terribly happy about it, but I do have, at this point, some fairly sizable territories, and I need to somehow defend my territories. So I'm going to set them to defend, and with that, be sure to defend ports and defend transports, and potentially I'll upgrade to sea control if I have an Italian fleet coming in. This is going to cost me like 40 million extra per month. Let's throw the crew training back into full gear. Now I still get a surplus of 148 million. That's a really, really good economic situation to be in. I now just need more ships and better hulls. And the plan to invade the US might be a go. That, however, will have to wait to a future episode. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this one. It's been a bit of a wild ride, this campaign. And there is more wild stuff yet to come. So I hope you guys will enjoy it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon for more.